Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another One Piece review, specifically the Whiskey Peak arc. I'm not really sure how much of an introduction I need to do. It's another One Piece review video. We've been doing these for the past 10 weeks. I'm sure we're all on board with what exactly is happening here. But we do have a lot to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is I am reading the fan-colored translation version online. And it is very beautiful. It is terrific. I am enjoying it. I think the color scheme is really great. But I have noticed two things. Number one, I've noticed that some of the translations are a little bit wonky. Like I noticed at one point they were talking about their currency, which is spelled B-E-L-I and pronounced berry, as far as I'm aware. But at one point in the translation, they were talking about the currency and they spelled it B-E-L-L-Y, like my big chonky belly. Not that that's a huge deal or anything, but I mean, I am doing a review, so I would feel like I wasn't doing my due diligence or justice if I didn't mention it. And secondly, I noticed that in the black and white original version, or however you want to look at it, there are interviews with the author. There are interviews with him where, the fans will ask him certain questions. And I did really enjoy those interviews, and I actually really learnt a lot from those questions. A few people have been mentioning Panda Man to me. The first time I saw any mention of it in One Piece, because people were talking about Panda Man, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But Oda himself did explain it in one of these interviews, and he showed a couple of pictures of this is where Panda Man is, this is what Panda Man looks like. But I noticed the color versions does not have this interview, which means I either have to read the color version because I love how pretty it is, and then go back and go through the chapters of the black and white version to read the interviews, or I just live a life without the interviews. But personally, I think I'll read the color version because it's very beautiful and it's a lot easier to understand the depth of everything that's happening. Even when I was reading it, I would see some certain scenes or some certain cells, and I would think to myself, I'm glad I'm reading this in color, because if this was just in black and white and shading, I would be very lost with what was happening in that specific scene. But moving on from the color issue or the non-color issue, or however you want to look at it, when I was reading this one, I did have an idea, and I just wanted to float it past the One Piece community to see what you guys think. I was thinking about, I have a feeling that we are not going to learn a lot about the Red Line in One Piece, and obviously I could be incredibly wrong, but as far as I'm aware, the Red Line doesn't have too much to do with the channel that is One Piece, because to get into the Grand Line, they had to go up the reverse mountain, which was part of the Red Line as far as I'm aware. So they went up and then back down, and now they won't encounter the Red Line again until they've done the whole thing of the globe, right? As far as I'm aware, that's the case, but please correct me if I'm wrong. But I was just thinking, how interesting would it be to get a One Piece spin-off where it's on the Red Line, and it's the exact same world with the exact same kind of goofiness to it, but the same seriousness to it. Even the magic system, which is really great and lends itself well to a continuous story that never grows stale. If they were to take that and then put it onto the Red Line, and it was a story about a samurai or a ninja or ninjas and samurais, and they want to be the world's best ninja / samurai or whatever. I'm just saying that I would read the hell out of that. A land version of One Piece? Sure. Get me involved. I want to do it. And one more thing before we get into the review. I mentioned last week at the end of my video that I'm creating a second channel which is all about bartending, and it's just the nerdier side of bartending. It's going to be all about making cocktails and shots and drinks that are heavily inspired and based on things like One Piece, The Wheel of Time, Fallout. I've got a League of Legends one coming up, the Halloween movies, whatever, just all the nerd community stuff. It will either be drinks from TV shows, movies, games, books, whatever, or it'll be drinks based on it. And it should be a lot of fun. I'm actually, after I finish filming this video, I'm going to go and film my very first video, which is a One Piece cocktails video. It should be a lot of fun. I've got a shot called the Gum Gum Rocket. I've got Nami's Punch, which is like a double entendre because she's always punching people, but she's also got a lot to do with oranges. So it's like a tiki drink. I've got the Onigiri, which is like a Zoro old-fashioned. And I've got the Brave High Seas Warrior, which is like a chili dark chocolate martini based on Usopp. So it should be a lot of fun. Check it out. It should be coming out next Thursday. I will link my video in the description, or I'll link my other channel in the description. I've already got 9 people that have come and like pre-subscribed to my channel, so thank you very much to everybody that does that. And let's get on with the review. Alright, so Whiskey Peak. This was another one of those ones that I can already tell is going to be hard to do a review on, because it's hard to talk about the layered complexity and foreshadowing that goes into it, because all I want to do is talk about the end, but I have to talk about the like foreshadowing at the start to really make it make sense. And to start off, let's talk about Zoro, because this really is a big Zoro story, which from the beginning you wouldn't expect, because while all the drama is going on with like it's winter and Luffy and Usopp are building snowmen, and then they like get into a big punch up, and like Nami figures out that they're going in the wrong direction, and there's all this drama with like the currents and the wind and the people that they've got on board, which we find out one is a princess and the other is Mr. 8, I believe his name was. And they're giving like Nami a hard time because she doesn't know all these things about navigating in the Grand Line, including you can never take your eye off the log pose. And while all this like drama and fighting and like snow is happening, Zoro is just like asleep, passed out on the side of the boat, just like passed out living his best life. And so to think that this is a Zoro story would be silly, right? Because like he's not doing anything while all this like carnage and chaos is happening. And then they end up in the city or in that port town, and they're all welcoming the pirates. They're all like, yes, awesome, glad, we're a party, and they throw everyone like a big party, and there's a couple of like drinking competitions where like Nami and Zoro are like trying to outdrink all these people. Luffy has like eaten more food than 20 men, and he's passed out 3 chefs in the process. Sanjay is flirting with 20 girls. Usopp's telling people how much of a brave high seas warrior he is. And the whole thing just seems too good to be true, which it is. And this takes us on to the like great foreshadowing part that I wanted to talk about. And that was at the beginning when all that chaos was going on and Zoro was just like basically sleeping through it. Now the tables turn. Now Zoro is there and he's like sitting atop the building and he's looking down on all those people. And he's like, you think you're going to kill all my pirate crew? You know, guess again. Shing shing, let's go. And the people are like, oh no, but he outdrank 15 people. How is he about to, like, how is he still standing? And Zoro's like, a true swordsman never lets alcohol take advantage of him. And in that moment, it's not hard to see why Zoro's a fan favorite. He's pretty damn cool. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is that it's interesting that the author just, like, flips everything on its head. And once I read it, I was expecting Zoro to say the same thing that they said to him when he woke up from his nap. I was like, I can guarantee you that there is going to be like some kind of 360 degree, everyone's going to wake up and then Zoro's going to say whatever they said to him when he was napping through the crisis. He's going to say it to them when they wake up from napping from their crisis. But I'm pretty sure he didn't. And I think it's meant to show like a maturity on Zoro's part. Because everything in this series, I've noticed, has been written with like very clear intentions. Even I noticed just in like the drawing style, and I'll put it up here if I can figure out how to be computer literate, but there's like a scene where Zoro's about to like face down everybody and there's the moon, and the moon looks like a demon's eye looking down at all of these people because it's like a very tense moment and there's about to be a lot of like, you know, battling going on. And not only that, but Zoro's sword technique is called like Demon Slash or something. And it feels really done on purpose that this moon looks like a demon's eye looking down at these people. But then in the next scene, when they're looking for him, the moon looks like an eye that is now a bit wider, as if it's looking for something. And I thought that that was really interesting. I thought that that was like a really great piece of storytelling through visualization, which is something that this medium can really do. Like, it's not only just the story is so incredibly well written and the characters and the foreshadowing and all that, but it also takes advantage of its medium with just little subtle things like that. Just the way that the moon looked when he was about to do Demon Slash or when they were looking for him. Although I do have a question about that because I noticed his sword technique, or his slash, or whatever it is called onigiri. Right, and I'm about to name an old-fashioned onigiri in honor of Zoro, but isn't that like a Japanese rice bowl? Isn't an onigiri like a rice bowl in Japan? Like, I love food, and I love Japanese food, and I'm pretty sure that that's a thing. So it just makes me wonder if this is if it's like some kind of like joke, if it's some kind of play on words. Is he Demon Slash / rice bowl attack? If you know, please let me know. I also noticed that in my last review, I talked about how brilliant of a writing tool the log pose is, right? How it's like, these people can't just sail straight from point A all the way to Grand Line. They have to stop at every island, and they have to stop there for a certain amount of time for the log pose to register the magnetic fields. Right, and I talked about how that is a great plot device to get these people into the situations that they have to get themselves out of without the story growing stale. And he built on this a little bit more by explaining that some islands take just a couple of hours, but some islands can take days. Which I think was very clever on his part to allow him to write whatever story that he wants to write on each island. And the reader, we're not just sitting here going, he's been here for 3 hours, it only took 3 hours for the last 4 islands, why is this one taking 3 days? Why don't they just leave? And he really set himself up for success by building it early, and that's the secret. You want to build these things early so it doesn't feel convenient later on. It feels like something that was done intelligently and built up properly. And that's exactly what he's done. But also they have introduced the forever log pose. Oh, God, I can't believe I've forgotten the name. The always log pose, or whatever that one was called. You know the one I'm talking about. And it always points to a specific spot, which I think is another great plot point that he's built in nice and early so it doesn't feel convenient later on. Just like every other review, I do want to mention something about something I'm looking forward to on my reread. And that is knowing that the Cactus Islands, the spikes on the Cactus Islands, they are all tombstones, right? Which I have a feeling that on your reread, knowing that all of these tombstones on this cactus are, or all of these spikes on this cactus are tombstones, I have a feeling it's going to feel so much more sinister, so much more ominous as they're like cruising in and, everyone's welcoming them and, you see the spikes in the background, but you don't really think anything of it. But on your reread, that like all of these people, all of these spikes represent someone that's died there. And it's just one of those things that I'm really looking forward to on my reread to see if there is any other foreshadowing that I missed or any like other kinds of senses of foreboding that I wouldn't have picked up on because I didn't know. I mean, obviously reading it, I knew something sus was going on, but with a reasonable doubt, you could say, oh, these people have no other form of trading but pirates coming through, so it makes sense that they are so welcoming to pirates, even though, like, you're pretty sure something sus is going on. There is a reasonable doubt that they could just genuinely be happy to see him. Alright, I've put it off long enough. Let's talk about the mayor. I believe his name was Ingram. Or Igram. Now, Igram's story was very sad, because in the beginning we obviously thought he was a bad guy, we didn't like him, and that whole like clan of his was very quickly defeated. But then we learn that he's actually on an undercover mission for this Alabaster City, and he's there protecting the princess while she learns the identity of the boss, so that way they can stop this uprising happening in her city. And after a few fights and asking Zoro to protect the princess and all that, we get the scene at the very end where he is dressed up as the princess and he's got those dummies and he sails off into the ocean. And this was really sad because, like, I went back and I reread the part from, like, their goodbye to, like, the explosion on the water, and it felt really sad because I felt as if the author intentionally wanted us to know that he knew he was going to die. He knew that he was sailing to his death. And I got that vibe, but for some reason I held the hope in my heart that he would like get away, we would find him in Alabaster, and we would hear his like awesome story of how he survived. He was rescued by a dolphin, or maybe the whale from the last one. Maybe the whale decided to like, I don't know, swim the Grand Line or something and save him and take him back to Alabaster, and then Luffy and the whale get into a fight. I was definitely not expecting him to die, and I was definitely not expecting like his boat to explode like immediately. That felt a little bit more painful to know that it was like over immediately. Like I still, this is One Piece. I still have in my mind that he could have still survived, but it did hurt my soul to watch him like immediately explode. But I'm going to put it into a prediction that he's not dead. I have a feeling we will see him again at Alabaster. And if we don't tell me. My heart's not ready. Maybe in a couple of weeks you can tell me. That brings us on to Miss Wednesday and her duck. One of my favorite parts of this entire thing is when Miss Wednesday is fighting Zoro and she says to her duck, "Give me a hand," and then the duck just like raises its wing to like give her a hand. And she's like, "Not literally." I don't know, that was just like the kind of like dumb humor that I really enjoy, and I really enjoyed that moment. When it comes to the princess, I have a feeling that she is not going to join the crew, right? Because like the crew needs a musician and it needs a doctor, and she could be either, right? Like it's not a stretch of the imagination that maybe in the next one she goes, "Oh, by the way, I can play the flute and I'm also a doctor." But I have a feeling that she won't join the crew because of the duck. I have a feeling that the author doesn't want to add too many characters too quickly. And if she joins the crew, then the duck joins the crew as well. And this author doesn't do things by halves, so this duck will have to be given a personality and a sad backstory. And we can probably expect that even though he's a duck, he will probably fight Luffy for a lot of meat. But I have a feeling that they won't add the characters too quickly, because each character, you have to learn a lot about them, you have to learn their motivations, you have to learn their like sad backstory, and you have to learn why they are going to go with Luffy, like what their like ultimate big dream is that they want to go with Luffy, and why they want that person as well. And I feel like adding two characters to that too quickly isn't the way that it will go. I mean, it very well could, and I have full faith in this author that if he added 12 characters at once, we would have a great feeling and love and involvement with them from the start. So I'm not denying this author's capabilities to add two characters at once. I'm just saying that I don't feel as if it will happen. Alright, moving on, I wanted to talk about some of the themes of One Piece. Going into this next saga, specifically when they first entered into the One Line, one of the things that I was really worried about, or really concerned about, was that One Piece would lose this kind of like silliness that I really enjoyed from the first one, or the first arc. And the reason why that concerned me so much is because the silliness factor of One Piece really gives the author a lot of freedom to tell the best story he possibly can in the exact way that he wants to, without worrying about ridiculous things like exposition. Because, as I've said before, the exposition in One Piece is fantastic, it's phenomenal, it's some of the best written, most entertaining exposition I've ever read. And I was worried that One Piece would lose that silliness and become too serious and kind of railroad the way that the author could tell the story. But I'm more than happy to announce that that wasn't the case. This arc really did show off, and is a great example of what I mean by the silliness factor really lending to the greatness of the story being told. Things like right at the end when like big fat balloon Luffy comes out and he like picks a fight with Zoro because he thinks that Zoro cut down all these people in the village because they didn't cook him his favorite food or something. And then like it just seems like Mr. Five and Miss whoever it was, they're just kind of like an afterthought to this fight between Luffy and Zoro because it's just like a misunderstanding. And it's just that kind of like silliness that I really enjoyed. Or like when Zoro was still fighting the original people and that acrobat's got a chain wrapped around him, And, the mayor comes out and he shoots him with his hair guns. And Zoro just, yanks the acrobat into the way, shoots him, and then throws the acrobat at the princess that's threatening to stab Luffy. And it really made me happy that this silliness wasn't removed from the story. Because it gives One Piece so much charm, it gives the author so much room to tell the best story that he can, and it's one of the things that I really love about the series. And this brings me on to my realization about Nami in this series. Nami is the pimp. Nami is the pimp of the pirate crew. More than once in this series has she offered out the services of other people for money that she will keep herself. And I will read you this quote that came exactly from One Piece. This is when the mayor is asking Zoro to save the princess, and Nami is like, give us $1 million, give us 1 billion berries. And then he agrees to it, and she's like, go, Zoro, I choose you. And Zoro's like, why the hell should I help you? And Nami says this: my money might be mine alone, but when I make a contract, it's for our whole crew. And that's happened more than once so far, and I have a feeling that this might be a theme throughout this series. Nami is the pimp. When the boys get out of line, she gives them the back of her hand, and she keeps all the money that they earn through their hard work. And honestly, going forward, reading these stories, thinking about Nami as the pimp of the situation, I feel as if it's only going to make my enjoyment of this series more to think of Nami as their pimp. I like that this arc also felt like another massive prologue, which is funny for me to say because I've said the last 3 arcs have felt like prologues as well. But I liked that this one also felt like one. I feel like there has just been so many seeds and story plot threads thrown out that there really is so much we can expect from this series. But I especially like the part where the princess is they ask the princess, who is the boss? And the princess says, I can't tell you, otherwise, they'll hunt you down and they'll kill you and it'll be this big drama. And they're all like, you know what? You're right. We don't want to know. You don't want to tell us. Don't tell us. And then she says, oh, good. Yeah, you don't want to fight Mr. Crocodile anyway. And they've all just got that shocked look on their face. And the whole time the vulture and the otter is just watching. And Nami's like, peace out. Yep. Okay. You guys can deal with Mr. Crocodile. You can deal with this whole association. I'm out of here. And as she's leaving, the otter turns around and shows her a picture that he drew of her face and the crew. I really liked that bit. But it also sets up so much conflict for the future. There can be so much happening with, Mr. Crocodile and all of the agents of that association. And I'm really looking forward to it. This takes us on to the next part where, we've already talked about what happens with Igram. We're not going to talk about that anymore. My poor heart can't handle it. But it does bring us to a great Nami moment. When Nami is saying to the princess, we gotta go, she stops and comforts her. And the princess is worried about, this whole organization hunting them down, and it's gonna be, the end of her life, the end of her country. And she's really worried about that. And Nami says to her, those 4 saved East Blue all by themselves. Even a warlord won't stand a chance against them. And I felt like that was such a great throwback to Nami's Arlong Park. When she was in that same situation as the other woman where she felt like everything was over and she was so sad and blah, blah, blah. And the 4 guys came in and saved the day. And it felt like such a great Nami moment that she would recognize and empathize with this other woman and be like, look, these 4 people are good people and they're strong. They're not just going to let you die. They're going to help you. Finally, let's talk about Miss All Sunday. Miss All Sunday, that name is a joke, right? I'm pretty sure that's a dirty joke, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard some sayings and it ends with Thursday, Friday, and all day Sunday. That's a dirty joke, right? Because she's an attractive woman and her name's All Day Sunday. I don't know. Maybe I just have a dirty mind. And to really emphasize my point, here's a picture. This is why I think her name is some kind of dirty joke. Look at that. That was done on purpose. We had a whole conversation earlier about how this guy does everything on purpose. Nothing's by mistake. Everything's by design. Look at that. You tell me that was not done on purpose. Anyway, Miss All Day Sunday is a brand new ominous character that we're learning about. She's eaten one of the devil fruits and she can do some kind of something with like air probably, or maybe she's throwing around marbles that we can't see or something. And she presents herself as like a grey character, how she's not necessarily bad, even though she's working for the bad guys, but she might also be trying to help them out. So she presents us this front of like greyness. Like, is she bad? Is she secretly good? Is she just playing with them? What was the deal with the eternal pose that she gave them? And then she rides away on a turtle. So that'll be really interesting to find out what her whole deal was. Is she looking to undercut Mr. Crocodile, or is she looking to just screw with their heads? Who knows? All I know is that the next arc is called the Garden of Giants, and there was like a tiger and like giant footprints. And I am pretty sure that I am going to film this One Piece bar video that I want to do, and then I'm going straight into the next arc. What did I say the next arc was called? It's called Little Garden, right? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this review. I've really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what's coming next. Check out my bar channel. I'm going to be linking it in the description below. First video should be out next week on Thursday, roughly half an hour after I release my next One Piece video. And no, that won't be a coincidence. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff. I love your comments. I read them every single day. And as always, thank you very much.